Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum to all of you guys. Today the topic of our lecture is major landforms of the earth. As we all know that earth is the third planet of the solar system and it is the only astronomical object known to harbor life. About 71% of the earth's surface is covered with water in the form of oceans, gulfs, seas and other freshwater land bodies, and the remaining 29% of the Earth's surface in land, consisting of continents, islands, mountains, valleys, plateaus, peninsula, and many other landforms. So, landforms are basically the natural shapes of the earth or the physical features on the surface of earth. So these mountains, valleys, plateaus, plains, island, peninsula, these are the major landforms found on the surface of earth. So the 29% of the total earth's surface is covered with these landforms. So moving towards the first landform on the surface of earth and the major landform, that is mountains. Mountain is a large landform that rises above the surrounding land in a limited area, usually in the form of a peak. Mountains are basically, it can be considered as any landmass that is higher and steeper than a hill. Hill extends above the surrounding terrain, so it is the landmass that is higher and steeper than a hill, and in general mountains are higher than 2000 feet. So we can say any landmass, any landform that rises above the surrounding land in a limited area up to the height of 2000 feet, usually in the form of a peak, that landform is called as mountain. The next point is some mountains occur in long chains called ranges. So, so the line of mountains or the chain of mountains are called as ranges. Like if we say the Himalaya range, if we talk about the Himalaya range that starts from Nepal and then crosses China, then crosses India, then Pakistan, and then it ends in it has some small mountains in Afghanistan as well. So these are the long chains of ranges, mountains, which are called as ranges. So Himalayas found in Asia, the Alps found in Europe, and the Andes are found in South America. These are some of the mountainous ranges, and these ranges are the storehouses of water because many rivers have the origin in these mountains or in these ranges. And then some mountain peaks are permanently covered with snow and are called as snow caps. Like in any other natural elevation such as atmosphere, as we go higher, the temperature drops and the climate becomes colder. Thus the habitation becomes harsher, and that's why there is less habitation in these areas. Furthermore, because of the temperature drop, it is common for the higher mountains to develop ice on them, on their surface. So there are many mountains, like if we talk about the K2 is the mountainous region which is which remained covered with snow round the year. So if we talk about the some mountains peaks are permanently covered with snow, so K2 is the example of that mountain which remained covered with snow round the year, and there remains snow caps. Then comes hills. Hills are naturally raised areas of land that are lower than mountains, and these extend above the surrounding terrain. And these are less steeper than mountains and less higher than mountains. So hills can be only considered as only those areas, only those raised areas of land that are lower than mountains. Then mountains also have some types, like if we talk about the types of mountains, we see four types of mountains: fault block, folded, unwrapped, and the volcanic mountains. Fault block, the block mountains occurs when large areas are broken and displaced vertically stretched, as you can see here. in this diagram that when the large areas are displaced from their area, they are displaced and they are broken. They form different types of shapes, and mostly they are stretched across hundreds of kilometers, and they form a block shape type. So this is called, because they are not completely block type, and they are um, considerably block or vertically. So these are the mountains that are stretched across hundred of kilometers, and we can, if we talk about the block mountains, we found Vostosmo in Europe, Vostosmo in Europe, and Rhine Valley in Europe as well. These are some of the block mountains. But if we talk about the folded mountains, so when two tectonic plates collide and the edges of these plates fold, they result into the fold mountains. And this is like the you, if you can see these arrows, these tectonic plates are gonna collide. When these two tectonic plates will collide, their edges will fold, and that's how when the edges of these tectonic plates will fold, that's how they will form fold mountains. And fold mountains, Himalayas, which are found in Nepal, are the perfect example of fold mountains. Then comes volcanic mountains, magma which rise up from mantle up to the crust of earth. It forms volcanic mountains, and Kilimanjaro and Mount Fuji is the best example of the volcanic mountains. Unwrapped mountains in which the block areas of or the rock areas of the earth start to move upward. So that's how these are called as unwrapped mountains. So here you can see as fold mountains. Fold mountains are the common mountains which are found in the form of peak. So these are the type of fold mountains, and here you can see as block mountains. So block mountains occur as which are stretched across hundreds of kilometers, and its example is Vostosmo. So these are the block mountains which are found in certainly block shape. And then volcanic mountains in which magma rise due to the rising of magma, it forms volcanic mountains. And then the residual mountains, the erosion, the area, the residue or the waste which is um, which left after the erosion or after the rest of the mountains, that form residual mountains or its own type of landform, which is called as residual mountains. As you can see, they don't have certain or perfect shape, but as the block mountains or fold mountains or the volcanic mountains possess. So a valley, then comes a valley. A valley is a low area between hills or mountains, typically with a river running through it. It is a type of landform that is a lower part in the land between the two higher parts, hills or mountains, or found in the form of river running through it. There are three common types of valleys, which include V-shaped valleys, U-shaped valleys, and flat-floored valleys. In the next picture, you will have to see the three types of valleys. So in the first picture, you can see that it is found. It starts from upward and then comes towards the downward, and then starts from downward and move towards the upward. So that is certainly a V-shaped valley. As we have talked about, that valley is a low area between hills or mountains, typically with a river running through it. So here you can see that there is a river running through it between the hills and the valleys. It is a lower part and it is the V-shaped valley. Moving towards it, you can see that here it is the lower part between the two higher parts. It is the U-shaped valley. So these are the types of valleys. Then move towards the plateaus. A plateau is a flat, elevated landform that rises sharply above the surrounding area on at least one side. In other words, it is a flat land that is standing high above the surrounding area. Also, depending upon plateaus, heights varies from few hundred meters to several thousand meters on the surface of Earth. So, it is a flat land or the elevated landform that rises sharply above the surrounding area on at least only one side. For example, Deccan Plateau in India, African Plateau, and Tibetan Plateau. Tibetan Plateau is the highest plateau in the world. So, as you can see in this picture, that it is a flat land that that rise above the surrounding area. Sharp land. It is a flat, elevated land. So, this is a type of plateau. After plateau, there comes plains. Plain is a broad area of relatively flat land. It is also flat land as we talked about the plateau. Plateau is a flat, elevated landform that rises sharply. It rises sharply above the surrounding area. But if we talk about the plain, it is a broad area of relatively flat land. They cover more than one third of the world's land area. So, after mountains, plains are the landforms that cover most of the area of the earth. Plains exist on every continent. These are the most fertile region, and these are the stretches of largely flat land and most suitable for human habitation on the surface of earth. Rivers and their tributaries form plains because when the rivers flow down the mountains, they erode them, and that's how the rivers, when erode the mountains, they deposit some sediments in valleys. So these deposits form plains. For example, Indo-Gangetic plains are the most uh, finely and densely populated regions or plains of the country, of the world. So as you can see in this diagram, these are the plain regions, most fertile region, and these are the most suitable land for human habitation. Then comes island. Island is a body of land surrounded by water. Many islands are quite small, covering less than 1 acre. These tiny islands are often called as islets. So, for example, Hawaii Island. Hawaii Island is the largest island in the world. New Guinea is the world's second largest island. Then last one landform of the surface is peninsula. A peninsula is a piece of land that is almost entirely surrounded by water but is connected to the main land on one side. As you can see in this diagram, that this is the this is the peninsular India. It is the east side, it is the west, it is the north, and it is the south side. So as you can see in this diagram, that peninsular India, in the south, east, and west side, it is surrounded by water. But on this, it is its north side, it is connected to the mainland on one side. So peninsula is a piece of land that is entirely surrounded by water but is connected to the mainland on one side. So that is the uh, basic point about the peninsula. But if we talk about the island is completely surrounded by water. But if we talk about peninsula, it is surrounded by water on three sides, but its one side is always connected to the mainland on the surface of earth. Or we can say peninsula is a landform surrounded by water on most of its border while being connected to a mainland from which it extends. Our peninsula are also found in every continent, like Arabian Peninsula is the world's largest peninsula. found on the surface of Earth. So here you can see also that there is the blue shaded area, the Gulf of Aden, the Arabian Gulf, and the Red Sea. So this peninsula is also surrounded on the three sides with Gulf of Aden, Arabian Gulf, and Red Sea, but is connected to the mainland on one side. This is also a one type of peninsula. So that is what we had to talk about the major landforms of the Earth's surface. So we will meet in the next video. Till then, take care. Allah Hafiz.